Welcome back to another episode of Falcon Central Radio. If it seems a little weird that I'm saying this, it's because this is normally where Aaron starts the show and then I just kind of chime in a little bit. I'm Scott. I'm joined by Sammy Logan and Jeanna Thomas. I hope I said that right.
You did.
Because for the longest time I was saying it wrong.
Most people do.
Yes, I'm very sure. Tonight we're going to do just a quick rundown of the plan tonight. We're going to address Arthur Blank's announcement from today. We're going to address the cuts of both William Moore and Justin Durant, as well as other potential cuts, including Roddy White. And then we'll hit the Falcons mailbag as usual. A couple small things that I'm going to change from here on out. If there's a mailbag question that kind of fits in with what we're already talking.
What happened?
I don't know. I have no idea. This is going really well, though.
I just froze, didn't I?
Yeah,
Yes.
you sure did. You sure did.
That's why everybody's laughing. Hooray for freezing and weird internet connections from AT&T. Anyway, all right. All right, let's go ahead and address Arthur Blank's announcement. Earlier today, Arthur Blank announced that he has prostate cancer. It kind of sucks. Luckily, it's treatable, so that's good. But anytime you hear the word cancer, it just kind of creates a ball in the pit of your stomach where you're like, ugh. So I just want to put in here, I just personally want to thank him for being an owner that actually cares about the team. Since he's bought the team, they've had a winning record and at least have shown a commitment to try and win. Unlike when the Smiths on the team, when they were just like, yeah, we own the team. So at least they're trying to win. And I hope everything goes as planned for his doctor's plan and they get it, they pull it out. He does whatever chemotherapy or radiation or whatever he has to do to get rid of it, and he comes back healthier than ever. So, on that topic, Evan Birchfield asked through the mailbag, since our thoughts are with the Blanks, what's your favorite Arthur Blank moment?
My favorite recent Arthur Blank moment is absolutely Arthur Blank dabbing. That was pretty good.
I mean, I don't have one in particular, but what I do appreciate about Arthur Blank is he's always on the field, talking to the players in the last few minutes of the game. He's always visibly had a connection with the players, and I appreciate that about him.
I actually have a more specific one, and this is a few years ago. My younger daughter she's 16 now, so I bet she was about 10. It's been several years. And I was at training camp with her, and Arthur Blank was signing autographs, and she went to get his autograph, and he had just finished. He started to walk away, and he saw her, and he came back just for her. And he stood and talked to her for a few minutes, and he asked her name, and he said, "Chelsea, thank you so much for your support." And then he patted her on the head like a dog, which was funny. But, I mean, he was really engaged with her, and, he took time to talk to her. He looked her in the eye. He didn't really have to come back. He had been signing for a long time, and it was really thoughtful of him to do that. So that was something I always appreciated. I think he really understands how to relate to fans.
That's pretty awesome, actually. And the whole patting on the head like a dog thing is probably consideration. Because he's about 2 years older than my dad, and my dad used to do that to me when I was a kid, so I really just that generation.
It was affectionate. I mean, it was really nice. She was a little taken aback, but it was really nice, and he was very nice to her, and I have always appreciated that about him.
See, for me, my favorite memory of him is a moment of celebration. It was the 2012 playoffs. They were playing the Seahawks. Matt Bryant had just kicked the field goal, and you see Arthur Blank just like running on the sidelines, going, "Yeah, we won!" and hugging everybody, but like basically hugging everybody, but making sure he made that beeline for Tony Gonzalez.
Yes,
I
I
thought
remember
was
that.
pretty.
That
That
was.
was pretty cool. Like, all right, he has to make sure he thanks Tony. So, all right. Man, it feels like a kind of a dark theme to this podcast. We're talking about cancer and cuts and.
That's why I'm drinking wine, man. I had to be prepared for this one.
Again, I mean, pour a little bit out for Willie Mo. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know why he was cut. I mean, it's safe to say why he was cut was his performance wasn't equal to his pay at this point in his career.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Craig was on the show right before the season talking about, you know, out of all the guys at training camp, who's the one veteran that he thought could be the surprise cut, and he kept saying William Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Because Moore just wasn't picking up the scheme or wasn't looking like the old Willie Mo of the past. Yeah. The good news is he saves about $5 million on the cap. So they should be able to afford a stock replacement. Oh, yeah. And there's even a couple guys on roster. I kind of want to get Jeanna's thoughts on this as well as your saying. All right. Kamal Ishmael, Robinson Turizi, guys that I personally think have a lot of potential. I think they're really good depth right now.
I agree. Mm-hmm. I know the coaching staff really likes Turizi in particular, and I think that he showed a lot in terms of development this year. Kamal, I've always been pleased with, especially for a 7th rounder. I think that he's been really serviceable when they've needed him to be. So, yeah, I think that those guys are both solid depth at this point.
Right.
Yeah, I think if you could combine them, you'd have a great starting safety. Because Turizi's got the – well, no, I'm just being honest here. Like, Turizi's great in coverage, and Kamal's what William Moore used to be against the run.
Yeah, yep. I agree with that.
If you could combine them, you'd have William Moore Part 2. So –
I like what I saw from Ishmael this year. Definitely because I saw the growth from last year to this year. That it encouraged me to think that maybe he could be a good depth guy. But I would love for the Falcons to finally get somebody young with a lot of potential at that position, because it's a very important position. Like we have Trufant. I think Alford's doing good on the other side. You know, he's showing a lot of growth as well. If we get a good strong safety, you know, we're close to mirroring how the Seahawks was. You know.
Yeah.
I do like what Ricardo Allen's been bringing at free safety.
Right. I like Ricardo.
He's got the instincts, but I don't know if he's got the speed that Earl Thomas has. But he's definitely got the instincts. I'd love to see them bring in, through the draft, a guy named Darian Thompson. If there isn't a good pass rusher or linebacker at 17, them taking Thompson would be fun because he's very similar in a lot of ways to what Eric Weddle was coming out.
Oh, okay.
He can play underneath. He can play deep. He's a big hitter. He's got good size. He's smart. He's a little bit better athlete than Weddle was, but I think that's probably for the better. Weddle was like a second-round pick, though. Another couple of names. Jeanna will appreciate me mentioning Von Bell from Ohio State.
Yep.
I really like his game. He'd be a good, solid second-round pick. Him or Jeremy Cash. Sua Craven's another guy in that second round that would be very good. Potential signings, I would love to see them take a look at Deshaun Gibson from the Browns, because getting a guy to leave the Browns is probably one of the easiest things to do. Or George Iloka from the Bengals, but I think Iloka might end up getting franchised. The other names that jump out, could bring back Dwight Lowery. He had a good year for the Colts. I'd love
He
to see him
did.
back to Atlanta, and I don't know what he's like in the locker room. Gina probably knows a little bit better, but
I do. He's great in the locker room. He is one of the most team first guys I've ever been around. I really, really like Dwight.
yeah, I think if you're looking for a guy, worst case scenario, you look for the stopgap guys like Dwight, and
Mhm.
everything I've seen and heard of him was he's a leader.
Mhm.
He's a guy that all other guys rally around,
Yeah.
but he may not be the best athlete anymore, which, I mean, I'm okay with that if he can play football. As
Well,
long as he can play, he doesn't have to run as fast as he used to. As long as he can play the strong safety role, we're good. And then an interesting name popped up today that I saw when I was doing research was Walter Thurmond from the Eagles. Very good in coverage, solid run stuffer. More of a wrap-up tackler, but I don't really mind that too much. And Seahawks, there's the Seahawks tie there with Dan Quinn. So, Evan Birchfield asks, again, now that he's gone from the Falcons, what's your favorite Willie Moe moment?
So it's got to be, who did he tackle like it was a wrestling move? I can't even remember.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah, who was
Mike
that though?
From the Rams.
Yeah. I mean, he just picked him up and slammed him. That's probably my favorite William Moore moment. That was amazing.
See, for me, it was when it was a Thursday night game against the Saints. It was like the fourth pick of Breeze that night, and he intercepted the ball and took out Thomas DeCoud all in one fell swoop. Like, and then like
I forgot about that.
The helmet hit, and I was like, "What, Willie Moe? You can't take your own guy out like that." It was great.
Once again, I just don't have a specific Willie Moe moment. Like, I mean, I'm happy I got to see the great days of Willie Moe, which I believe stopped in 2012. And I can say I definitely appreciated having him with on the other side of Thomas Day Cool, because it made Willie Moe look a lot better.
They were a really good tandem. Like the year that they were both Pro Bowlers they were both extraordinary. You know, William was one of my favorite guys in the locker room, and it is actually hard to see him go for that reason. There's nobody else in that locker room who is more gracious with his time. You know, William, it would be like 5 minutes before open locker room was up, and he'd be like, no, take all the time you need, ask all the questions you need. Like, he would never rush us. He would always answer our questions. And he was just, you know, really friendly. And, like, he was always really nice to me. Like, one time he was coming out of the shower, and he's like, hey, I love your lipstick. I was like, what are you talking about? That's so weird. But like he was always really friendly and really nice, and so I'm genuinely gonna miss him, and I do wish him the best. I hope that he lands somewhere and is able to do really well. Not in the division, but like somewhere.
You know Mike Smith wants him in
He's
Tampa.
gonna go to Tampa. There's no question he's gonna go to Tampa. But I don't want him to. I really don't.
I just hope he goes home and plays for the Chiefs.
That would be nice. That would be really nice.
That would be nice, but would he actually get to start there?
I don't know that he would, but I don't know that he is going to care at this point. I mean, he's lost a step. You know, the injuries have really taken a toll, I think.
Well, I think it's very possible that a team could look at him as a linebacker too.
Yeah.
However, you know, if his agent is smart, there are a lot of teams that need a starting strong safety that could be interested in Willie Moe.
Yep.
Well, and the reason why I said the Chiefs is you have Eric Berry back there who can erase any mistakes that Willie Moe would have made. Ron Parker is okay. Tyvon Branch and Hussein Abdullah, they're both free agents, so there's the opening there with the Chiefs. And I would have said the Rams because their safeties are okay, and they probably would have moved Willie Moe to weak side linebacker. But they're in LA now, and I don't know if he really wants to go out there. Then again, he might. He's trying to start a rap career. It's Willie Moe. He might. There was an article like 2 months back.
Always ready.
That said, hey, if I'm not in the NFL anymore, I'm going to try and be a rapper. So.
Well, luckily for him, there's places that need him.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah, like the rap game needs him.
Oh no. Too many athletes already. The basketball players are getting out of control right now. Like Amon Shumpert, Damian Lillard. Like, come on, guys, play basketball.
Oh man. All right. Moving on to Justin Durant. Sorry about that. He was cut.
Please don't let it be a Justin Durant favorite moment in question.
Because I was not a fan of Durant.
I don't have a favorite Justin Durant moment either.
No, there was no favorite Justin Durant moment question.
Bless his heart. He just was not healthy enough to really have an impact. So.
Thankfully, the Falcons can use that money. There's a lot of good linebackers out there, both in the draft and in free agency. The cap savings is worth it. $2.5 million a year for the next 2 years. Potential replacement on the roster. Considering the Falcons have no linebackers outside of strong side linebackers under contract right now, there's not really replacements for him on the roster right now.
No.
So, potential draft replacements. I'd like Miles Jack. I like Durant Lee. I like Deion Jones, Eric Stryker. Jones and Stryker both stand out to me because they're like those third-round guys, and they're fast as hell.
Yeah, they'd fit then.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me to see Deion Jones run a 4.4 at the combine at 225 pounds.
Wow.
Eric Stryker, he'll probably run a 4.5 at 240.
Ooh.
So these guys fly. Like they're not slow football players by any means. Stryker's a converted safety. Potential signings: Jarrell Freeman, Danny Trevathan, and Audie Cole. Jarrell Freeman and Danny Trevathan are two names that are getting talked about a lot by guys like Charles and Tyler on Twitter. Like Aaron's going to talk about him a little bit. Aaron really likes Jarrell Freeman. The Falcons would be very lucky if they could get Danny Trevathan. Jeanna, what are your thoughts on Sean Weatherspoon potentially coming back?
I just don't think it makes the most sense. I mean, I really like Spoon, and I wouldn't be sorry to see him come back. I just am concerned about his health. I think that they would have to use him as more of a rotational player. I don't think that's really what he's looking for. So, I don't know. I would be happy to have him back in Atlanta because I really like him, but I don't really see it happening because of his injury history with the team. I don't think that they're going to pull that trigger.
That makes a ton of sense. Now, a guy who I really liked when he was a second-year guy was Audie Cole out of the Minnesota Vikings. Then last year they drafted Anthony Barr, used him as the middle linebacker. Then this year they drafted Eric Kendricks, used him as the middle linebacker. And they've kind of been just taking guys and throwing them at middle linebacker without really seeing what they had in Cole. I think if the Falcons gave Cole a chance, he's the kind of guy that he's probably more of a middle linebacker in the scheme, but he's got the speed, he's got the coverage ability, and he's got really good 6'4", 240 size that you're like, oh, hey, this guy can work the middle of the field and at least give us someone to match up with tight ends. I'd like to see the Falcons bring him in and then draft more and have him compete with Warlow and Stupar for snaps, and then draft the speed at weak side linebacker, just the raw, unadulterated speed guys like Deion Jones or Eric Stryker, or Darren Lee out of Ohio State. I just want to see Lee in the second round, not the first.
Which is reasonable.
I'm not a believer in Lee as a first round pick. But here's a question from Digital Demon that kind of sums this up. Ideally, who would you want to replace Durant and more, either from free agency or the draft?
I mean, I haven't looked at one draft thing. Like, if they don't play for Ohio State, I don't care at this point. Talk to me in April. I've been too busy. And so, yeah, like, I really don't know. Like, I don't have an answer prepared for this.
So Von Bell and Eric Lee?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, those are the guys. We're going to go with those guys. Go Bucks. We need some Buckeyes on this team. It's way overdue.
How about Braxton? That's what I want.
That's what I want.
I want Braxton.
He's the perfect player.
If they draft Braxton Miller, it's going to be lit. I'm going to go crazy. I am never going to shut up about it. I'm going to be so obnoxious, and it's going to be great. I really want this to happen.
I would love, even though this does not answer the question that we just asked, I would love to see Braxton because I desperately feel like the Falcons need another player that can make plays and it is exciting. Like Julio Jones, of course, we know Julio is amazing, but in order for Matt to be 100% effectful, he can't throw into triple coverage. Like, we need somebody else that will be able to make plays, and Justin Hardy didn't catch on quick enough as a rookie, so he's going to need more time to develop. But I think Braxton, the way he moves and makes people miss, he could be dangerous.
Yeah, he is. He was. Ohio State underutilized him this year, and I know that it was a new position, but like when they gave him opportunities, just look at what he did against Vatech in the first week of the season. Like, that spin move was so ridiculous. He just has his athleticism is off the charts, and the fact that he had been a quarterback all this time and then was able to not just adapt to the wide receiver role, but really flourish in it when he had a chance. And he's really a multifaceted weapon. Like, you could put him in the backfield and let him run the ball. Like, you could do all kinds of things. Could let him throw the ball. Yeah, I mean, you could.
Kyle Shanahan could have a ball with Braxton Miller if we even make that attempt to get him. I know some fans will be excited. Some fans will be upset because it seems like they want him to be a first-round draft pick. So
I don't see that, but I mean, I don't know. I know that he impressed at the Senior Bowl and everything.
It's gonna happen. He's gonna be a first-round pick. It's just
guess who's gonna pick the Browns?
Oh, I hope not for his sake.
Way too high. No, I really like Braxton Miller because I feel like as a former quarterback, he does what my friend Ethan Hammerman calls empathetic route running.
Oh, so, that's interesting. That's a really interesting way to put it, yeah.
When you're a quarterback, you know where you want your guys get open on certain plays. And sometimes it's not how it's drawn up, but you're like, man, if that guy was open right there, I'd throw it right to him because that's what the read's supposed to.
Yeah.
True.
That's a really interesting phrase, and that makes a lot of sense. That's a really interesting concept.
Right.
I went back and watched Braxton's film, and I'm like, man, this makes so much sense. You see Randall Cobb do it in Green Bay. You used to see Antoine Randall do it. You see Anquan Bolden do it, and that's why Anquan Bolden's had such a good career. People forget he was a quarterback his entire time at Florida State. He never played wide receiver until he got to the NFL, and just has balled out his entire career in the NFL. So you've got guys out there who will be excellent wide receivers, and I don't see why you don't. Like, to me, Braxton Miller is a wide receiver. I'd take him in the first round because I think you've got that guy who can stretch the field, can give Matt Ryan that same kind of setup that he had in 2012. Maybe not as good of a tight end, but I think a fast receiver who can stretch the defense, a receiver who can do it all, like Julio, and then a guy over the middle who's just that reliable third down guy in Tammy.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Sadly, I I just don't see us getting him in the first. Like we have to go defense in the first.
And I think that Quinn will want to go defense in the first. I mean, he's a defensive guy. That's certainly where the bigger needs are. So,
Right.
Probably depending on how they go in free agency, because according to what I'm seeing cap wise, they've got a ridiculous amount of money.
But we don't want them to spend it on the wrong people. Like I don't see too many free agents that are popping out to me. But we
I know
definitely
a lot of
have
guys that
spots to
are
fill.
underrated, like Rashard Matthews from Miami.
oh, I'd love to have him.
A lot of people that don't really watch Miami are like, whatever, Rashard Matthews.
Oh no, he had a really
Fantasy
good
players know who
Yeah.
Rashad Matthews is.
Hey, you play DraftKings, you put him in there at, $5,600 or whatever in your lineup, and he won it for me a couple of weeks, like pretty much by himself. Like he had a really good season when he was healthy.
Well, and I think he could play that number 2 role next year. Because, again, moving on to the next topic of Roddy White, cut, he should either be cut or take a pay cut, in my view.
Yeah, I think they'll probably restructure him. I think he's going to stay, but I think that they will restructure.
And I think when they do, the cap savings need to be in the $2 to $3 million range. Like, hey, yeah, you're not worth 6, but you're worth 3 at this point, because that's about what Joe Horn made in his last 2 years with the Falcons.
He blocks well.
He blocks well. He still runs routes well. He just doesn't get open because he didn't have half the speed he used to. Because up until about 2012, Roddy was still about a 4.5 guy. And then mid 2013, the ankle injury, 2014, other injuries, it kind of pulled him back, and then you're like, oh yeah, Roddy's not what he was. And this year, you could easily tell he was basically about as fast as Tony Gonzalez was in 13.
Yeah, he had really lost a step for sure.
So, again, love Roddy White, one of my favorite players of all time. I'll buy his jersey when I get the money to actually do so, but he's just not what he used to be. And at this point in his career, he's 35 years old, What else is there for him to really do in the NFL?
Win a championship.
Exactly, and him making $6 million isn't going to help him win a championship.
Nope, not for us.
I love Roddy, but now potential replacements on the roster. Jeanna.
None.
Softball to you.
I mean, Hardy's got to develop. He still has a ways to go. Like, there's no Roddy caliber guy on the receiver. On the roster, there isn't. So they're going to have to look elsewhere. They've got guys who can make some plays here and there, but nothing like, Roddy in his prime.
Nope. Nick Williams isn't it. I don't think, he's going to be a free agent at the end of, is he a free agent now, I guess?
When the league year starts. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's a free agent, but I think he's a free agent the way that Ricardo Allen's a free agent. Like, you could sign him for veteran minimum, and you can't really say anything about it because he's got less than 2 years of tenure. So
right.
So is he exclusive rights or is he restricted?
Exclusive rights.
Oh, okay. Then that's not even really a free agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
So he should be back with the team next year.
Hopefully.
But I mean, he had some decent plays, but he's not a Roddy White caliber receiver.
Right.
He's not going to be.
This draft is we definitely have to go defense, and we definitely have to get a receiver. Matt,
yeah, I think so.
If you're gonna pay Matt $100 million plus, you have to give him somebody else to throw to.
Yeah.
We are aware that Julio is there, but look at all the if you look at the teams that win games, they have more than one receiving threat.
They do.
And that's why Green
Travis
Bay
Kelce
struggled.
that played for Ohio State. What's his name?
Who?
Reminds me of Travis Kelce. Tight end from Ohio State.
Oh,
Bennett.
Oh yeah, Nick Vannett.
That dude is good. He can block. The reason why I compare him to Kelce is because Kelce was always like, hey, my brother plays center for the Eagles, so I'm going to block like I'm a center. And then he goes out there and he looks like, not Tony Gonzalez, but like old Tony Gonzalez in the short routes. I do like Kelce, though, because he can stretch the field, and I think Vanette's got the same kind of athleticism.
Do you? Well, I don't see us drafting at tight end, but I've seen crazier things in this organization.
If he's there in the second, I think he would change the offense enough to be like, you know what, this guy's worth the pick at 47, 48. Let's take a tight end. Let's plug him in. Let's see what he can do. Let's move. You're not going to cut Jacob Tammany when he's making $1.7 million, especially with how he was last year. You're just not going to cut that because you're like, this guy already succeeds well with Ryan. You're just going to rotate in a lot more of 2 tight end sets. You're still going to use DeMarco the way that they used DeMarco, which was probably the best any coach has ever used DeMarco.
Yeah.
Even his college coaches didn't use him like that. Didn't know he had that kind of ability. I'll put it that way. I thought he was going to get cut for Colin Mooney, even past the last.
I'm not sure that he wouldn't have.
Really?
I mean, don't forget they put Mooney on IR. They didn't have to do that. They could have waived him with an injury settlement. They put him on IR so that they would keep the rights to him. I don't think that they ever really intended to keep Patrick. I think that they only kept Patrick because Mooney tore his bicep, and then Patrick thrived knowing that. I think that he knew that he had to really prove that he deserved to be there. And it was a close competition. It's not like Mooney was far and away better. But, I really think that that's the case. I really think that if Mooney hadn't torn his bicep, he would have been on the roster and Patrick would have been cut. And then Patrick had a career year. He had a phenomenal year.
And that's where I think this year changes a little bit. I think they might even keep 2 fullbacks and go with 2 running backs, just Tevin Coleman and Devontae.
Oh my gosh!
Think about it. Think about it. And then Mooney could also play running back because he played a prime running back when he was in college.
Interesting.
I think the Falcons need to get a running back in free agency, but I feel like teams with 2 and 3 running
dime a dozen that unless you've got a truly special one that can do all the different things that say a Devontae Freeman can do, you really don't waste the money on one in free agency. You just take a bunch of guys. If you're not taking a running back pretty much every year in the 7th round, you're just wasting your 7th round pick because you can get a quality running back in the 7th round. And, it might have been someone that you were thinking about signing in undrafted free agency, but you just secure his rights to you. Draft a guy in the 7th. Make sure he's someone who can play some free agency or play some special teams, and you should be good to go. Although I'd love to see the Falcons give my boy St. John a call.
Thank you. I'm here for that. But I have faith in Tevin because he definitely shows flashes of being a great running back. But the mistakes this year, I know he was a rookie, but I've seen rookies do great and not make mistakes. So I thought that's what we'll be getting in Tevin. And he kind of let me down because he showed us that he needs more work than we thought.
He had a fumbling problem when he was at Indiana, and it continued in the pros. And I think that until he can resolve his fumbling issue, he doesn't stand a chance at even coming close to Devontae. I do think that he will get more carries next year, and we'll see a small reduction for Devontae, but that's just because you don't want to have a 5'8", 200-pound running back getting 300 carries year in, year out.
Right.
Productive. Anyway, looking at other potential cuts before we get into this mailbag, Devin Hester is a name that pops up. Eric Weems is a name that pops up. Paul Soliai, even though I don't want to see Soliai get cut because I think he did a great job in the new scheme.
Yeah,
Tyson Jackson.
I don't think they will cut Soliai. Yeah, I don't either.
I think he's good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I agree. I think Soliai might end up with the captaincy on his chest next year, honestly. Jeanna, please back me up on this one because I was talking with Greg Linton, and he said, Corey Peters kept pointing out to how Soliai basically ran the defensive line.
Yeah. He's a really quiet guy, but I mean, he is a leader. He's just not very outspoken and he's on that line with guys who are pretty it's actually a pretty quiet line across the board. Like Claiborne's really quiet, Babs is really quiet. So yeah, but yeah, I mean Soliai is definitely a leader.
Can we give some props to our defensive line this season? Out run defense specifically, they did amazing.
Yeah, it was a huge improvement. Huge improvement.
It was nice to see.
It was. Yeah, the simplified scheme really helped with that. They weren't having to think through like 7 different things before the snap, which helped them just react to the play on run plays, which let them actually stop the runner instead of not, which is what they did for the 2 previous years. So it was a big improvement.
Yeah, to cut it down from 7 to 2 always helps.
Yeah.
The 2, is it a run or is it a pass?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's honestly that's what you want the defensive lineman to think.
It's read and react. That's it. Yeah.
And if your defensive linemen are thinking that binary, you're good to go.
Yeah.
I believe Hester should be cut because we need to get better at wide receiver, and he's taking the spot. Eric Weems, I love him, but it's time for him to go too. Unless he comes back for like Dirts, he always helps on special teams more so than as a receiver.
He's a great special teamer. Yeah.
Right. Like
teamer seems like a good guy, but at a certain point, is Nick Williams probably the same guy as Eric Weems was 5 years ago?
Can he return though?
Yeah, he did. He returned a little bit in preseason. Can he return as Weems?
Not saying that Weems can return because I haven't seen the good Eric Weems since about
Tampa Bay 2000,
10 or 11, right?
Yeah, I think he's about Eric Weems, what Eric Weems was this past year.
Mm-hmm.
So he's good enough to where he's not going to kill your field position, but he's not going to be that game changer in field position that Devin Hester was.
Yeah.
The Falcons have tremendously been horrible over the multiple years in punt and kick returns, like since Allen Rossum.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't seen us take that position serious, and even as much praise as Keith Armstrong got as special teams coordinator, I always wonder like it had to just be for coverage because we never was returning kicks.
His coverage teams are ridiculous. Like his coverage teams, he continually puts out some of the best coverage teams out there. He just doesn't have that prime returner. And that could be something that Atlanta, if they did take a guy like Braxton Miller early, would be, hey, this guy's got to be able to punt and kick return early in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If they take a receiver in the 3rd round, it might be a guy who's going to have that early Steve Smith Carolina role of kick returner, punt returner, learn how to play wide receiver on the outside. Maybe not a true number 2 early, but could get there eventually.
Tyler Lockett from Seattle.
Yeah, basically. Like that's the same role. potentially explosive returner, or go out and sign a guy like Mohamed Sanu, who wasn't used as a returner in Cincy, but in college was a great returner. Or Travis Benjamin from the Browns. Again, luring a guy away from the Browns probably isn't that hard.
I'd love to have Benjamin. That would be
Right.
a great get. Yeah.
Matt Ryan would like that.
Yeah, I think so.
It's if we really look on his career, he thrived the most when he had 3 reliable receivers and a tight end to throw the ball. We can. I think Sammy is reliable enough to get by for what we're doing with the scheme, and we have Julio, but he definitely needs 2 other targets. Like if they're not going to use Devontae in the passing game like they should, then he definitely needs 2 wide receivers.
They have been using Devontae like they should.
Yeah,
71 catches this year, man.
This year, I mean, check down. But I want to see more design plays for him out of the backfield, like more screens. Yeah. That's what Florida State did. Like, I love, I'm an ACC man. So I loved watching him at Florida State. That's how they was using. But we definitely did a good job. I'm proud of him making it to the Pro Bowl.
I am too.
Nice to have a Falcons running back in the Pro Bowl.
It is. It is really nice.
It is. Kind of reminds me of the one that we had in the Pro Bowl from the 04 or 02 to 05 seasons. Both on and off the field.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of work done.
Right.
In a lot of ways, and that's definitely a good thing.
That's the Florida State connection.
Well, no, it's not just that. It's how he plays. He's a simple zone runner. He gets 2 to 3 yards and then can break big ones. He can slash a defense with chunk yards, and then he provides that receiver out the backfield that some guys just can't do. The only other, I'm going to go over one other cut before we get into these mailbag questions. Tyson Jackson.
How much do they save? What are the cap implications? I actually have to write about this when we wrap this up. So, like, give me the Cliff's notes. It'll help me. It'll help me with what I'm doing.
$5 million this year.
Mm-hmm.
But in subsequent years, they saved $5.85 million and each of the next 2 years.
Okay,
So,
I feel like he is not playing up to his contract.
yeah, I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like he was marginally better this year than the previous year, but I just don't feel I'm not going to be surprised if he is cut.
Nope. In order for Hageman to really play as good as he can be, I think Tyson Jackson needs to be cut.
Yeah.
Because you think that the Falcons need somebody who can play that 5-tech and really cause some havoc on that side? Is that what you're saying?
I just feel like it's better people behind him. Like on the depth chart.
Like Malachi Goodman and Adrian Claiborne?
Well, Claiborne starts, correct?
No. Claiborne's the rotational.
Rotational. Oh, well, he's definitely better than Mr. Jackson.
I think so too.
I definitely remember a lot of plays where Claiborne was disrupting the whole play.
I think Malachi Goodman has that potential to be better than Tyson, but I don't think that they use him like that.
Right.
Because he was a Mike Nolan kind of pick. Because when he was drafted, I was like, yeah, this guy is definitely a 5-6 for Mike Nolan's scheme.
Mm.
I think Goodman could be a lot better than he is if he's given the right chance.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, they should cut Tyson Jackson, Jeanna.
Goodbye.
That's what I was
They really
thinking.
should. All right. Into the mailbag we dive. A little bit of a short mailbag because I was pushing the earlier ones up. Aaron asks, this is Aaron Freeman, co-host of the show, why do you hate me? And to that I say, I don't hate you, but you sprung on me almost last minute that you weren't going to be here. I don't hate you.
I don't hate Aaron, but I do like to give him trouble when he is unnecessarily negative on Twitter. And he knows that he does it just to rile people up.
Right. I don't hate you either, Aaron, but you are very pessimistic on Twitter, and I just like to skip over that sometimes.
Aaron, I like you very much, but I also like to give you trouble for riling people up on Twitter. So.
All right. Digital Demon asks, what are the odds of Atlanta getting Danny Trevathan, and would that fix the inside linebacker issue with him and Warlow?
It would help. I don't know what the odds are of getting him, but, I mean, it would help. They need to upgrade that position. I just don't even know what else to say. They really do. Linebacker across the board is very weak.
I don't see Denver letting him go, but you know, if he does get let go,
but I think they're going to have to tag Vaughn. I think that they're going to have to tag Vaughn, and so they may be in a position where they have to let somebody go. I think that is going to impact it.
I hope that somebody's Malik Jackson, honestly, because I would rather see the Falcons go after Malik Jackson.
That'd be awesome.
Right.
Because I think the comparison of Malik Jackson and Derek Wolfe, or Malik Jackson and Rashid Hageman. Look at Sylvester Williams versus Paul Soliai in the middle. I think the Falcons might have the edge with those two guys, just raw talent-wise, and they're much bigger than Wolfe and Sly Williams are. I think the Falcons might actually end up with a much better front if they could somehow get Malik Jackson to play that strong side linebacker role. Not strong side end role. But yeah, if they could get Danny Trevathan, I'd love it. But a buddy of mine who basically covers the Broncos is saying that Trevathan and Von Miller are their top two priorities. Getting DeMarcus to restructure. That's their goal. All right, Evan Birchfield asks, I personally see those day after Super Bowl cuts as red flags. Would you want any of them?
Okay, I'm sorry. What was the question?
He goes, the day after Super Bowl cuts, he said he sees them as red flags, but would we want, like, do we think the Falcons should sign any of them?
I mean, like, Riley Cooper, no. no thanks. That guy is a catastrophe. Who else was even cut on the day after the Super Bowl? Oh, like the Saints cut a bunch of people. No, they're not good. Like, Jari Evans is not a good fit for this game. I forget who else they cut, but I hate the Saints. I don't want any of those players here. That team was garbage this year. No thanks. Nope, I think that we're good without those guys.
They were garbage, but they beat us twice.
I don't really want to talk about that. I would like to forget that. I'm just going to focus on 2014 when the Falcons swept them. I'm just going to pretend like that's what happened.
I'm just going to focus on our Super Bowl beating the Panthers.
Yes. Boy, that was glorious.
Yes, it was amazing.
Blueprint that Denver followed and just...
Oh, so that's what it looks like when a good team plays like that?
When a good defense. Yeah.
Right, a good defense. Cause
that Denver defense, man. That Denver defense. I covet that defense.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous. They're so much fun to watch. They just are so stacked with talent. It's unreal. I wish I knew what that was like.
I wish I knew it having a middle linebacker. It was like.
I think we should let Richard Smith have a couple of just like, hey, this linebacker looks good. Hey, that linebacker looks good. because he did kind of handpick Danny Trevathan and Brandon Marshall.
Well, Quinn is really collaborative with the staff. Richard Smith has a voice. I mean, he does have a voice in the draft and free agency process. So he is a part of it. So that is something positive, I think.
That's very positive. If the Falcons could lure Brandon Marshall away.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. That would be great. He's also he's funny. Like, I would like to have him here because I think he'd be fun, too. But he's a really good player.
I have a mailbag question.
What's up?
With the destruction that the Falcons went through this season, do you think our city is actually a destination spot for free agencies this season?
I think money talks, and I think coaching and other players talk to each other. When you have guys like, Vic Beasley saying, hey, let's do something special here. You got Desmond Trufant at the Pro Bowl actively recruiting guys. That kind of says something.
I think that players also, I think that Dan Quinn has a reputation. I think that the players who play for Dan Quinn love him. And I think that in and of itself attracts players to Atlanta. I think that people want to come and play for Dan Quinn. And I think that's part of the reason he was hired, honestly.
Okay, so defensive players, we can get a lot of those, but what about offensive players? Like, who really wants to play for Kyle Shanahan?
I still think that people want to come play with Matt and Julio.
I think that the who wants to play with Kyle Shanahan argument is just a bad one. Honestly, I think it's
so.
He gets so much crap talked about him, but I think it was just an adjustment issue. The Shanahans are known for being very bullheaded as it is. If you don't know that going into it, you're probably not paying attention. I'm just being honest here. You're probably not paying attention. They're going to run their scheme how they want to run it. It's a zone blocking scheme. It's a West Coast-based passing attack, a Walsh-style passing attack. Either, absorb it and agree with it, or you're just like, hey, this sucks. And it looks like the offensive line, for the most part, agreed with it, except for Mike Person, who doesn't know how to snap.
He's not a center. He's literally not a center.
He's a right guard.
And he played like he's not a center. So that was terrible.
He played right guard for 4 years in college. And I think next year, that's where he plays again.
Well, I hope he does not play center. That's really all I care about, because that was a catastrophe.
I hope Stefan Wisniewski or Ben Jones come in, because I think those would be affordable options, and Ben Jones would be a perfect fit. He knows the scheme. He played in his own scheme for a while, and I think if you put Ben Jones in the middle of that line, slide Person over, it ends up being a lot better. And everybody likes saying Alex Mack, but unless Alex Mack wants to take like $4 million, $5 million a year, I don't see Atlanta putting that much money into a center.
No, I think you're right.
$3 to $4 million, maybe. $8 to $10 million for a center. The reward is not worth that kind of risk.
No.
So yeah, I do think there are some guys out there who would say, yeah, Atlanta's a destination because they're better than the Browns. They need, a guard, and I can play guard, and I could help them, and they could help me. And they got John Asamoah after having a horrible year, and he came into Atlanta and signed a pretty reasonable contract, but he just wasn't a good team.
Yeah, and I think he was also hurt, genuinely.
I agree. All right. Next question from Andrew Shawweiler. Or actually, no, this one's from Evan Birchfield.
Evan has so many questions. Thank you, Evan.
Half our show every week is Evan.
Evan is very supportive.
He really is. Von Miller gave praise to Richard Smith. Do you think he can get Vic Beasley close to that Von Miller level?
Richard has said that Beasley's talent and skill remind him of Vaughn. I think that Beasley needs to get stronger. One thing that I am concerned about with that is his frame. I don't know how much more functional weight he can put on without losing speed, because speed is such a big part of his game. I think the big thing with Vic is cleaning up technique. I think that that's where you're going to see him be much more effective. And I think that once we found out that Vic had been playing with a torn labrum all season, I think that that sort of highlighted why maybe he struggled with technique issues, because I think that that would be very difficult to play effective technique with a torn labrum throughout the season. So, yeah, I mean, I think so. And that's what Smith has always said, is that he sees a parallel between those two players. Vic just has some different areas of his game that he needs to strengthen.
And even then, he didn't have a horrible season for a rookie pass rusher.
Oh, I thought he had a good season. Yeah, I mean, I thought he had a decent season.
The games that stood out to me, even though overall his season wasn't as great as I expected, were the division games. He played very strong against Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I think he played strong against New Orleans and Tampa Bay. So I feel like as long as you can play against the teams that we have to see all the time, great. Mm-hmm. You have potential to get better at everything else.
I also felt like toward the end of the season we saw a big difference in the intensity of his play.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like he improved as the season went on and that sort of thing. And yeah, I mean, I think his ceiling's very high. I think that he'll definitely improve. The other thing with Vic, and I think that this is true for any pass rusher, is they really did not have somebody coming off the other edge consistently bringing pressure enough to let Vic get home. And this is the problem that Atlanta has had for years and years and years and years and years. Abe was less effective because he didn't have anybody really dominant coming off that other edge. They brought in, Ray Edwards, and he didn't pan out. So then they let Abe go. They brought in OC, but then OC didn't have anybody on the other side doing anything. And OC was also getting older. And so now Vic, I mean, if you have pressure coming from both sides, then somebody's able to get there. The problem is that they haven't had that for so long. And so they've really got to address that this offseason. Like, whether they do it through the draft or free agency, I don't care. But you've got to have somebody who can come off the other edge and bring some pressure.
Right.
I agree with that, but I think it also has to come from the middle. I think we need to
I think that's true, too. And I think they may have the personnel on the roster to do that now.
Oh, I agree. I think between Hageman, Jarrett, and Babineau, you've got three guys who can pass rush in the middle. Even Soliai can get some pass rushing in the middle if they just single team him and they're putting a double team on Babineau. They're afraid of him. Because Soliai can bowl over a 300-pound guard.
Soliai is actually surprisingly quick for a guy his size. He is extremely athletic for such a big guy. It's really quite remarkable.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when I was doing my combine numbers, I went all the way back to 1999. Soliai was the 11th best athletic index out of all players since 1999 on the defensive line. So out of 445 players that qualified, he was 11.
Wow.
Yeah, he's freakishly athletic for his size. Like, guys in his same area, J.J. Watt, Jamal Anderson, who was freakishly athletic but just awful. Tyson Alualu, Ezekiel Ansah, Ndamukong Suh, Dusty Dvoracek, who was ridiculously athletic for his age, but just bad. Chris Hovan, who had a Hall of Fame level career. Aaron Donald, all in that same area. Dontari Poe. He was a faster version of Dontari Poe, basically. So he was 345 pounds and ran a 5.02.
That's crazy at that size. I don't think I could run that. I mean, seriously, I don't think I could. And I run like 6 days a week. I just don't run fast.
Wow.
So.
I couldn't run that. No.
So,
I mean, yeah, they've got the interior pressure. I agree with you. They do need to get someone off the other edge. I'd like to see him get 2 guys off the other edge. That's why I'm pushing for. That's why I really want to see him get someone of that Malik Jackson caliber, and someone of say like Shaq Lawson in the first round.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going back-to-back first-round pass rushers.
The only thing I don't want to see us do is get another Clemson pass rusher in the first round.
Why?
Because
Even if it's Shaq?
If it's Shaq, yes, but I don't think he's going to fall that low.
It's possible.
I mean, anything can happen. You know, that I love the ACC, but I just really feel like if you want defensive players that are going to be nasty and play the defense, the aggressive run to the ball defense, you need to go to the SEC and get players.
I saw so much garbage defense played in the SEC.
Oh,
I mean, so much garbage defense. Oh my god.
The thought process of go to the SEC to get talent is just stupid.
Poor Sammy.
Hey, it's whatever.
There's talented football all throughout the country.
Definitely.
It's not just SEC. If a team focuses on one conference for all of their scouting, they're going to miss the Khalil Macks of the world. They're going to miss the Anthony Barrs of the world. They're going to miss people like Vic Beasley. So that's why you don't focus on one conference.
Yeah, but you know, if you're lucky, you get the Julio Jones, the AJ Greens, the CJ Mosleys, you know.
Dents, the Thomas Browns, the Fingers of the world too. It works both ways.
It does.
Every conference has crap. Every division, every conference has great football players. Even Division III had a great football player come out last year. My boy Ali Marpet. But no. All right. Next question. We got 5 left. So, what do you think of Thomas Duarte? Move the Stick says he sees a little Jordan Reed in him. I haven't watched Thomas Duarte at all, so I can't answer this one. I don't know if y'all.
Right.
He doesn't go to Ohio State, so no, I can't answer that.
I definitely will start paying attention to the draft during combine season.
Yeah, I'm not. He's like a middle-ranking wide receiver, middle-ranking tight end for me. Like, I'm not really into that just yet. He's a little bit farther down the board. Andrew also asked, not to be mean or inconsiderate, but do you think the Falcons try to go all in these next couple of years in free agency and the draft, or do you think they stay on the same track?
I hope they go all in. We have new stadiums and tickets to sell.
I mean, I think from that perspective, it's possible they do. They just have a lot of needs and a lot of holes to fill. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just kind of hard to go all in, even with the money they have. They've got 5 picks this year. You know, it's just kind of a different year.
They have so much money though for free agency.
They do, but I don't.
Projecting about $30 million this year, about $70 next, about $100 the year after that. They could structure some contracts fancy and wind up having some really good players come to Atlanta. That's why I keep saying Jackson would be.
I cannot wait until Matt Ryan restructures his contract.
He doesn't need to.
He doesn't.
Not that much of a hit.
I'm not counting his pockets, but I just really don't feel like he's spending any of this money.
You don't feel like he's spending any of his money?
No.
Because his money is privately owned, right?
No, I feel like he just spends his endorsement money. Like, for him to be Matt Ryan, he still gets crazy endorsements.
Yeah, even though he's, no offense, kind of boring.
Very boring. Oh my. But, you know, I love my boring quarterback. I love my boring quarterback.
Huh?
In person, is he that boring?
No, he's hilarious.
Really? So
No, he's hilarious. Yeah, no, he's hilarious. I always think it's so funny when people say he's boring. Like, he's one of the funniest people ever.
we never can y'all like since you get to be in the locker room and stuff, like can y'all please show us the funny Matt Ryan?
I'll
Like
try. He usually is really buttoned down when we're talking to him. Like, he knows when
professional.
yeah, he's very professional. And so it's usually like when he's talking to the other guys, it's usually stuff that I can't say. Like
Right.
his locker is right next to Julio's and they're right behind, like if we're talking to Roddy, they're right behind us. And so okay, so you know the Kiko Alonso pick in
Hmm.
week 1? Well, somebody asked Roddy about that, and Ryan made a comment about it, like right behind me, and it was so funny, and I started dying laughing because what Ryan said was, "No, it was a terrible pass." He's like, "It was. I mean, it was a good pick, but it was a terrible pass." And the way that he said it, and like he used some colorful language and everything, and that's what people like. People thought he was faking it on Hard Knocks, like. Matt Ryan cusses actually quite a bit. I just think that's so funny. And so, yeah, so like he made this comment. I was trying to like pay attention to what he was laughing. And yeah, he's actually really funny. Like he has a pretty quick wit and he is yeah, he's hilarious. I always think it's funny when people say he's boring. He's not boring at all.
Hmm. Thank you for bringing us to light on that
Yeah,
situation.
it's my pleasure. That's part of the fun of being there is to kind of see those things and let fans know.
He does seem like he holds it in. He's like, I've got to be a robot right now. I can't be myself.
Well, he does. Like, he's a very intelligent guy, and he understands that he's the face of the franchise, and it's a responsibility he takes seriously and all that kind of stuff, you know. So I
Right.
think that he does a really good job of balancing that. But, no, he's hilarious. And I'll tell you something else. Matt Ryan can hold his own with Roddy White. And Roddy White, I mean, yeah, like Roddy is relentless. Like he messes with people all the time, you know, he's relentless and Matt holds his own with Roddy. And so that's it's always so funny to me when people say he's boring or like on Hard Knocks when people are like, "Oh, that's not Matt Ryan." And I mean like his jokes were terrible on Hard Knocks, like they really were bad. But but I mean really he is really very funny and like has like a dry sense of humor and you know makes a lot of sarcastic remarks and things like that. So he's not boring at all. He's actually really funny. He just, you know, he just doesn't think it's profitable to show that to the public, I guess.
Cam Newton could learn a lesson from Matt Ryan, but I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody needs to just let Cam be Cam, but you know, it's just I'm mainly just tired of hearing about Cam. I just because he's a Panther and I
He's a
don't like the Panthers.
crybaby.
Well, this is kind of funny. So
Like, do the Falcons really have a rivalry with the Panthers, or is it like that little brother?
well,
We have to have one now.
we have to have one now.
It's official. It's official. They have bought their game. Whatever wonders they're doing in the front office that we all have question marks on draft day, but they and during free agency, but they pull it together. We have to have a rivalry with them now. Like the Saints could be our little brothers, in my opinion.
There you go. I like this idea. So the Panthers, Cam, you know, I mean, they lost 2 games this year. And so one of those games, of course, was to Atlanta, and that was in the Georgia Dome. And so I was down in the locker room after the game. And when I left, I don't go to the opposing team's locker room. Like, I could, but I don't
Right.
I don't care. And so I was leaving. I was going back up to the press box, and I passed one of my friends who's a producer for NFL Network, and he goes, "If you're going down there, Cam's not out yet." And I was like, "What do you mean he's not out yet?" Because we had done like the post game, like with Matt, with Quinn. We had been in the locker room, like everything was done. This was well after the game. He goes, "He won't come out of the shower." He's like, "Don't bother if you want to talk to Cam, like don't bother going in there." And so he wouldn't come talk to the media. And then of course, like there were extenuating circumstances after the Super Bowl, but he cut his press conference short after that. And I do understand. It's hard to lose. I hate losing. I'm really competitive. So I get that. But like I do think that that's it's just kind of interesting. I don't know.
How the only thing I'll say about him saying he's a sore loser is he seems to forget that he had a whole lot of losing before they started winning.
They did. But also he used to sit in the locker room with the towel over his head, refuse to talk to, he would refuse to talk to the media when they would lose then too. So this is something that's been consistent. It's not like this is new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just can't be a crybaby. You have to, if you're gonna be a superstar, you can't be a crybaby.
He will
Yeah.
never. I don't see a sustained long-term success for the Panthers. I think this is their Falcons '98 season.
With even with Kelvin Benjamin coming back.
Even with Kelvin Benjamin's friggin' sorry.
Oh,
Kelvin
I
Benjamin's
think
feeling
you're
is Marcus
crazy.
Cole.
Kelvin Benjamin with Cam, with the new Cam, the Cam that goes out and win games. I'm not looking forward to playing the Panthers next year.
I don't think Kelvin Benjamin's that good. I think you put Trufant on Benjamin.
You know I have to rep for the ACC, so Kelvin Benjamin's pretty dope to me.
You rep for Florida State. Anyway, next question. Took Leonard Floyd out of Georgia, so we all should have seen a little bit of him. Could he play the Bruce Irvin role? Is he worth it at 17? I think Leonard Floyd's more of that. If in the Falcons defense, I think he's more of that Michael Bennett role than Bruce Irvin role. And even then, I don't think he's a great fit. I wouldn't take him at 17. To me, Leonard Floyd's a mid-second round pick. I'd take him at 48, but I would never touch him at 17.
His SEC pack, yes. Yes. His SEC price tag is the first round.
And it's going to be like taking Jarvis Jones and an under guy. It's just not worth it. Guys like that.
I mean, he doesn't fit. I don't think he would fit with us. But you know, I would never say a UGA player fits with us.
Why? Because they're so used to losing at the most inopportune times. I think that sounds just like the Falcons. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it always seems like we're linked, and I hate it.
And Georgia Tech can't be linked because they run a triple option. They don't even run a real college offense.
Hey. My troll of the day is Calvin Johnson, leave the Lions, come back home, get your degree from Georgia Tech, and play one more year with the Falcons. Let's go.
I
would love to have Calvin Johnson on the Falcons.
Yeah,
2 more years.
I'm on board with that.
Think of what he could teach Julio.
Teach Julio?
Like me.
Think about what Julio could teach Calvin. But nah,
spots in Atlanta.
Julio's great, but yeah, Calvin. I know he's not gonna. I don't think he's actually gonna call it quits, but
I think he's gonna get cut by the Lions or get traded by the Lions before he officially calls it quits and do that one more year thing.
Well, Julio Jones owes Calvin Johnson a lot for getting him paid.
That's true.
I think he set the precedent to get all of them paid.
I can agree there. All right. Second to last question. Bruce Long, at Big Boy Brewski, I just like saying that, says, how far are we from a dual threat pass rush like Miller/Ware? Options from the other side.
Yeah, we talked about that tonight.
Right.
I mean, I think that they need to address that this year desperately. They have needed to address it for years, so let's hope that we're close.
It could easily be addressed this offseason.
It could be. I think they've got that Geno Atkins, Aaron Donald light in Grady Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got the potential to be that good. Was absolutely shocked he was there in the 5th round. I think they've got that big guy in the middle who can eat double teams in Soliai. They've got that 3-tech, that tall, long 3-tech that Dan Quinn loves to have in Hageman. Although I think Hageman's way better than Tony McDonald or Clinton McDaniel. I probably got those names mixed up somehow. But both guys were the 6'6", 300-pounders. I think they've got that rotational, just bowling ball in the middle that's Babineau. Honestly, they need another defensive end. And if the Falcons take a defensive end in the first round and say, hey, pass rush is our biggest priority, and sign a guy in free agency who can rush the passer and play that strong side defensive end, that says, hey, we want to have not just the dual threat like Miller, where we want to have as many pass rushers from as many different angles as possible attacking quarterbacks, because that's how you win games.
Yep.
You win games by hitting a quarterback 15 times like the Broncos hit Cam.
Right. And Robert offer would be 10 times greater if we had pass rush.
You won't even really need a strong safety in that case. You could just run a 10-man defense if you had a pass rush. Maybe move a King there and just put him man-on-man with a tight end. He did a good job against Greg Olsen that one play.
I don't even know what pass rush in a Falcons uniform looks like, but I hope to find out soon.
Go back and watch 2006. They had Rod Coleman. They had Patrick Kearney. They had John Abraham. They had this one game where they had like 8 sacks in a single game. And I know that sounds crazy, but John Abraham had like 4 sacks. Kearney had a sack. Rod Coleman had 2. And I think they blitzed a safety that year. I think it was a Lawyer Malloy that they blitzed, and Malloy had a sack. Never seen anything like it. It was amazing. All right, Andrew Shellweiler with the final question of the night. If the Broncos apply the non-exclusive tag to Von Miller, would you give up 2 first-round picks for him? He continues, I'm thinking of a scenario of trading back and then trading for him. Get more picks by trading back, then trade up, somehow secure 2 first-rounders, and then trade those 2 first-rounders.
Somehow.
By some kind of black magic or something.
Without giving up Devontae Freeman, somehow. Right.
Oh, my God.
I was in car sale about how to do this negotiation, so...
This team just has so many needs and so few picks this year. Like, we
can't give up 2 number ones.
Nah, I really don't think that they can, yeah. I'm with you. I don't think they can. I don't see how you make that work.
Yeah, I just don't see it as possible. And I don't think, with where the team is right now, I don't think you want to give up 2 first-round picks when it's probably better just to trade back to, like, 28, 29 and stockpile, like, a second or a third, and then, or a second or a third and a fourth. And then
That's
that kind of situation.
That's an interesting question as well. Do you see us moving back in the draft this year?
I think it depends on what's available at Atlanta's pick. If you don't have any of those top 4 defensive ends, the guys like, obviously Bosa is probably not going to be there. But if you don't have Bosa, you don't have Lawson, you don't have DeForest Buckner, you don't have Noah Spence available, why would you take a defensive end there? If you don't have Miles Jack or really just Miles Jack, because I don't like Reggie Ragland's fit in the defense. If you don't have either of those guys available, why go there? Why take a safety at 17 if he's going to be there at 28? Why not trade back to 28, 29, pick up a third, pick up a fourth, and then take Darian Thompson, who's a great fit for strong safety. Have your strong safety of the future. Have your guy who can go back there, roam the field, and then go, you know what? We've got an extra third and fourth now. There's now 5 picks in the first, or 6 picks in the first 4 rounds that you can play with. Those third and fourth round picks you can always use for depth. You can get a rotational line. You can shoot. If they took 2 third-round linebackers, it was Deion Jones and Eric Stryker. That alone helps your linebacker depth and just puts 2 fast linebackers right in the middle of the defense. So there's ways you can do that. There's a lot of ways to manipulate the draft, and I would love to see Thomas Dimitroff go from trading up all the time to trading back all the time. Like, hey, I realize it's a shotgun method that really works now. That'd be the biggest thing that, to me, would say he understands the draft. Instead of going from 11 picks to 8 picks, going from 11 picks to 14 picks in future years. Just my thoughts on that.
That's what Belichick does.
It's what Belichick did for the longest time. It's what the Eagles did for the longest time. It's what the 49ers did when they were in their heyday. It's what the Seahawks did in their heyday. It's what the Packers do every single year. I mean, the teams that are consistently good year in, year out are consistently trading back and getting multiple picks. There's no confusion as to what exactly is going on. You know you're only going to hit on, say, 50% of your picks, and that's if you're a good GM, you're hitting on 50% of the picks. So just get a bunch more picks.
Right.
So we will leave it at that. Sammy, where can they find you on Twitter?
All right, you can find me at Sammy with a Y _socialite on Twitter. You can find my writings and such at passthepen.wordpress.com.
All right, and then Jeanna writes at the Falcoholic. You can find her on Twitter at Jeanna Thomas. Anything else to add, Jeanna?
You can also find my work about teams other than the Falcons at SB Nation NFL. So
Okay.
lots of Johnny Manziel stuff, things like that. really
That man,
riveting stuff.
that man's about to be put on an unintentional ban from the league.
Yeah, he needs help sincerely. So
they're just going to they're just gonna like not sign him. All the teams are gonna be like, yeah, no, you're not worth the headache. All right, and I'm Scott. You can find my work at the Falcoholic. You can also find it at Sportsnut. And you can always talk to me on Twitter. I'm always down for a Twitter argument. So, Karasik S. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. And
Thanks.
hopefully Eric will be back.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me as well.